Hello, welcome to Chapter 4's Excel lesson. Chapter 4's Excel lesson is found at the back of the Chapter 4 material on page 265 and 266. It's called a Mastering Excel, and there's some anticipated work in here that they would have you be doing that I'm not asking you to do. And so it says at the end of 2013 the following information is available for short and wise companies. So as you look at the sample that's at the bottom of page 265, it has the short company and the wise company, and it has the actual and the percentage of sales, and it has the accounts for calculating the ratios that are in our chapter. And the first instruction is to ask you to set up the spreadsheet shown here. Well, that's what I'm not asking you to do. I'm giving you in your worksheet the spreadsheet set up, and at this point I'm focusing in on the cell formulas. Now I can't always judge exactly how well you're doing in using the spreadsheets, but we'll be in a lab and you can ask me questions about this spreadsheet. So it's open here behind me, and it has the student's name at the top. So in this area up here, I'm going to change that just a minute on this one, and I'm going to take out this underline. I'm going to want you to type your name in up here in this box, and then I want you to see pages 228 to 30. So I want you to open your textbook, look back at pages 228 to 30, and you'll find a common size financial statement, just like very similar to the one that you were actually asked to prepare, and then to fill in the rest of the information. So look at page 228 and 30. Read this information if you haven't already, and begin to take in how the common size financial statement is used, and then what some of these ratios are doing, because you're being asked to put those ratios into the spreadsheet. So I want you to use cell numbers. You're being asked to write the formulas to determine these required values, and I want you to use cell numbers when you do your formulas. And I'm wanting to tell you that you won't be able to see this because it's way too small on this screen, but in the function number you'll notice that the denominator has dollar signs around it, and that you achieve that by you highlight that part of the formula, use the F4 function key, and it'll make that into a constant that does not change. So that helps a great deal in building spreadsheets. So I would like you to learn that one skill today or this week, whatever amount of time you're giving to this assignment. So notice that we put the short in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. We put short in here, and it's a merged cell over two cells. We put wise in here, and it's a merged cell over two cells. It's underlined with the border underline, and wise is underlined with the border underline. Actual and percentage of sales are centered in each of their columns and underlined with just the underline function. Actual and sales are centered and underlined with just the underline function. In the right-hand column, we put in sales, cost of goods sold, gross margin, operating expenses, net income, which is the same as what's shown in the problem, and yet it's also what's shown here in the example on page 228. So I'm going to turn back to my problem at the end, and it has sales, net income, and then it has skip a couple of spaces, 2 lines, 2 rows, and then total assets and stockholders' equity, actual, and the return. So we're going to do those formulas, which are over here on page 229. So what I want to explain to you then is that sales in this common income statement, that's a tool that we use where we make sales 100%. And with sales accounting for 100%, then the rest of these numbers have to add up to 100%. They are the percentage that remains of that 100%, or how that 100% is being allocated. So the cost of goods sold was $1,050. I want to use the border and underline that, and now I want to know what the gross margin is. So I'm going to click on Home and click on Sum, and I'm going to not add those two, but I'm subtracting those two. So when I look at page 228, it's clear that this is a subtraction. So I'm going to subtract those two numbers from each other in my formula and get the gross margin number. Now, another way to do it, of course, is to come in and put brackets around the cost of goods sold number. That's the way they have it in the sample in the book, and that would be acceptable to do also. So you could come in here, and if you were going to do that, then you would simply come up to the top in the function and put brackets, parentheses around it, and then in your sum function you would want to add rather than subtract. So it can be done either way. This one happens to be, this cell on my computer happens to be formatted to not take the, to convert the brackets into a minus sign. So my computer's being very slow today about giving me, there we go. I'm going to pull this up where you can probably see it better. And we have numbers, we have no decimal points, and now I'm going to do those nice brackets and put that in, and so that's a bracket, and that makes it $450,000. Operating expenses, as you can see off page 228, are subtracted from the gross margin to get the net income. So I'm going to click on the 375, and I'm going to put in a border underline, and then I'm going to format the cell where the operating expenses are, and I'm going to do Home and format cells and number and brackets, black brackets, and then it didn't take. So I'm going to do it again. Home, format cells, numbers, no decimal points, the brackets, and I'm going to try the OK box a little bit better. Well, it's not taking again, so I'm going to try it a different way. I'm going to put the parentheses around it myself, and I think what we have here is I'm putting the parentheses around it, and the cell is formatted to accept the parentheses as my negative number. Then I want to know net income. So I'm going to go to Home, go to AutoSum, and I want those two numbers to add together, and I get $75,000 of net income. Now that's a total number, so I want to go to Home and go to the border and double underline the border, and that tells me that that's my total. So now these are formatted just like the first, mine are formatted just like the first column on page 228. Now, the next thing that I want to do is to make this a common size financial statement, everything being common, that sales are 100%. So now I have to put a formula into this cell that will give me sales at 100%. So I'm going to use the equal, and I want B11, so I would click on B11, and then I want it to divide by B11. So I'm going to clear out this cell and put that in there for you. I'm going to do equal, and I want B11 divide, using the division sign, by B11, and I'm going to do enter, and it tells me it's 100%. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to tell it I'm going to be taking sales as a constant number, and I want to know each of these percentages from that constant number. So I can highlight B11, and I can use the F4 key, and that will change the F4 key with dollar signs around it, each element in the cell, to be a constant. Now at this point, I can drag the formulas down, and you notice that I get 70% of my sale dollars are going for cost of goods sold. I get 30% are then available in the gross margin, because these are complementary numbers. Cost of goods sold and gross margin have to add back to be 100% of sales, because that's the only thing sales can be divided into. And then my operating costs are 25%, and my profit is 5%. So by setting up that denominator as a constant, my sales will always be my denominator and divide each of these amounts. Now for Y's, I can do the very same thing, and I'm going to leave that one for you to do. I'm not going to demonstrate how to do it right now. I'm just going to let you do it over here yourselves, and you can finish out Y's the way I've demonstrated on short. Now then, the next thing I have to do, it says total assets were $180,000, and I want to know the return of total assets on sales. So if I look over here, I've got these ratios on page 229, and they are allowing me to do this gross margin, but I have to go back to the ratios in chapter 4 to see the net income to total assets is on page 157, and total debt is to assets is on page 158, and net income to stockholders' equity is on page 158. So I'm really using pages 157 and 8 for the calculations at the bottom of the page. So now this first one says net income divided by total assets. So I'm going to use my equal sign, and I'm going to click on net income, and then I'm going to divide, and now I want it to be by total assets, and total assets are in the column next to me where I'm working right now, and so I get a 4% return on total assets using that net income. So then if I turn the page and it says net income to stockholders' equity, I'm going to do in this cell equals net income. I'm going to click on that box. I'm going to divide, which is in B15. I'm going to divide, and now I'm going to divide by total stockholders' equity, and that is B19, and I'm going to do enter, and the return on total stockholders' equity was 1.38, which is almost 13.9%. And so I will then leave you to do that transaction for the Wise company. Now, down below, we're asked to replicate the same information, but we're asked to do a what-if analysis. What if our market conditions change and our prices change? So I'm going to come back over to our problem here in Chapter 4, right at the very end, and it says to us, assume that a shortage of goods in item F from suppliers is causing the cost of goods sold to increase by 10%. So our very important expense is increasing by 10%. Change the respective cost of goods sold balances in the actual income column for each company. Note the new amounts. So now what I have to do is I have to replicate the work I've done up here down below. Now I left short and wise in there. I'm going to center short and wise using the merge and center function in the home page. And again, you go to the home, you look at alignment, just above alignment and off to the right is the merge and center. So that I've centered those. Now I have my actual and my sales, but I need to copy my information from my A column. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to start with 26 and I'm going to do a paste, and it'll put all of that information in there for me. Now then, I'm going to look at my numbers, and I can actually copy my numbers and paste them in below, and I get all my same numbers. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Y's, and of course you'll want to do this after you have it solved. So then you would just copy Y's and paste it in, but you don't want to do it until you have all these numbers ready to go. Now our problem is that in this 10% increase analysis, we have to take this number and we have to multiply it by the 1.10 because we want it to go up by 10%. Now, one of the nice things about building these spreadsheets this way, it will automatically do this for me in the analysis. So before you hit the enter key, and before I hit the enter key, I'm going to pull this up for you so you can see it as well as I can. And now what I have done here is I have multiplied this by the 1 is for its original amount, and the 0.10 is for the increase that I plan to do. So now I would multiply because I want to increase it by that amount. So notice how this is 100% and this is 70 and 30 and 25. But when I make that change, my cost of goods sold goes up by 10%. And that takes it up to 77%. And then my expenses are still 25% of sales, but now my profit has gone down to a minus 2% of sales. So I'm actually losing $30,000 if I keep sales and prices and other things constant except for the cost of goods sold. And look what happened to my returns. Because my profit is negative, my returns are negative. So now I'm going to not do the Y's analysis for you. I'm going to let you do that following what I have shown you here for the short analysis. Now, where it says, it asks you which company's profits and returns are more sensitive to inventory. You'll be able to see that when you see the results of the Y's analysis. So I'm wanting you here to learn to build spreadsheets so that you can see them. I'm wanting you to learn how to replicate spreadsheets so that you can do the same analysis with some what-if questions. And I'm wanting you to begin to see how you can use the constant, how you can make a cell formula constant using the F4 key so that it'll never change in your subsequent calculations. That allows you to just use the drag function, and you can drag the equation down from the top and do all the calculations. So I hope that one, you don't think I'm letting you down too much by forcing you to do Y, since I did short, and then leaving that for your own input into the spreadsheet and your own calculations. Have fun with Excel, continue to learn, continue to help numbers be your friend. Nice to have worked with you on this project. See you next week.